We have three primary relationships, and each relate to the others. We have three primary relationships, every one of us. There are three primary relationships. We have relationships with others, we have a relationship with ourselves, and we have a relationship with God. And they all are interlinked. They're all inextricably linked, and we don't always create that end. Because listen, if you're not in good relationship with yourself, if you harbor bitterness, resentment, if you are a negative person because of all the hurt you've experienced, you know what happens? It affects your relationships with others, doesn't it? You may not even realize how all of that comes out. You may not even recognize. But when you're not in right relationship with yourself, it's very difficult to maintain good relationships with other people. But you see, it's hard to be in right relationship with yourself if you're not in relationship with God. Because the only way you can really discover who you really are, what capacities you were created for, what things, and having the right self-image about yourself is when you're in a right relationship with God. And many times we've never draw a line between those dots. We've never connected the end. That being right with God has an effect on every other aspect about life, because we will have a healthy view of self, and we will be able to connect in meaningful ways with other people. Because why? Do you know what the core reality that destroys relationships? It's the core reality of sin itself. You know what that is? It's selfishness. And the only way to truly break selfishness in your life is when you come into a relationship with God. Because God teaches us there's something far greater to live for than ourselves. And that ourselves find the best experience, the most gratifying realities when we live to give ourselves away. When we are a blessing to others, our lives are blessed in return. And therefore, it's when we're healthy in our relationship with God that we can be healthy in our relationship with others. They all interact together. And listen, if you're taking notes, that's why, but listen, Jesus said it this way. I put this into your notes. Because Jesus was asked a question one day about this end. He said, what's the greatest command? What's the greatest thing that God has desired of humanity? And what was Jesus' answer? He said, to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. See, that's the relationship God wanted with humanity. A relationship that was based on love. He said, to love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. And listen, and the next he said was like it. He said to love your neighbor as yourself, which in turn says what? It's hard to love your neighbor correctly if you don't love yourself. And you'll never be able to adequately love yourself until you understand how much God loves you. When you see the earmark, the place where human self-identity, where we get our own sense of self-worth, do you know where that is? It's at the cross, my friends. Because when you see and understand the cross for what it is, and you see God suffering, bleeding, and dying for you, only then will you really know what you're worth.